Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are live. Okay, welcome to Beyond Babbitt. This is your host, Brian Anthony. Got a lot of information to go over. You know, a lot of people had said that a lot of things would take place on November the 25th. It actually did. The next big date that's been coming up is November the 28th, which is in a few days. Remember the Hal Turner memo said we'd be in war with Russia and China by November the 28th. So let's just do a recap of the things that has happened in the last 24 hours. This thing is serious. Okay, so sometime Saturday, I believe it was Saturday, President Trump did a press conference, or it wasn't a press conference, I think it was at a rally or something. And he says that the FBI has found new emails and they're going to reopen the Hillary Clinton case, the Hillary Clinton email case. She's under investigation again. This time it's something that's going to happen this time. I think they may try to take Hillary down. And that's another reason why everything is going chaotic. Hillary is definitely a part of the deep state. And before these people go down, they'll burn it down. Scorched earth policy. Same thing as the Hal Turner memo intelligence that I had talked about. We discussed previously. So we don't know. I mean, if you've been an elite your entire life, I mean, we know Hillary Clinton's dad is Hugh Rodham, who was a mob boss in Chicago. She's always been privileged and always had power. And then, of course, she got with Bill. He became governor and president. And so we know the story. We know the story of the Clintons. So I don't think we know the, I'm going to say, alleged body count of the Clintons. Anybody who gets close winds up dead. And so scorched earth policy. Before these elites go to jail, they'll set something off. Something's going to happen. And they'll burn this thing down, man. So that's one thing to look out for. There's a slew of others. And this has all happened, like I said, within the past 24 hours. Okay, so another thing we want to do is we want to watch the stock market. Because, hello, Sasha, for God. Well, it's a lot going on. And we were talking about it. We're just getting started here. But watch the stock market. Because with so much going on, I mean, it's only been natural to think that this is it. It's going to go down, down, down. So watch the Dow. And yeah. And so this may mean that the precious metals are finally going to catch a break, especially silver. I read somewhere recently that paper contracts of silver to the actual physical metal is 181 to 1. So for every paper contract of silver, for every 1 ounce of silver, there's 181 paper contracts. So that means the value of silver is really being suppressed, and it should skyrocket if the stock market starts to. It should be a fast fall because of all the things that are going on. So this was not in the last 24 hours, but this is something big coming up. The G20 summit, the G20 meeting in Buenos Aires, Argentina, which is happening on December the 1st, this next coming Saturday, the Saturday that's coming up. And the number one thing on the agenda is the U.S. and China trade war. All the countries are starting to feel the pain of that trade war. Economies are failing. A lot of things are happening. The world is militarized. So they're hoping they can get a breakthrough, they can get a deal. Personally, I don't see it happening because the New World Order is pushing ahead. Yeah, the New World Order is pushing full steam ahead to merge us all into one big happy family, right? So I don't see a deal happening. And the U.S. is the number one country standing in the way of the New World Order. So they're going to make a problem for us because they look at us as the problem already. Okay? Now, let's talk about Russia. Russia fired on 3 Ukrainian vessels today. Seized 2 of those vessels, military vessels, ships. First they were reporting 2 people were injured. Now it's up to 6. I've heard 2 sides of the story. I've heard that it's Russia's fault. They're being aggressive. You know, they rammed a ship and blocked them from coming in. The other side of the story is that Russia's been trying to build some bridge across the water in Kiev, you know, the capital of Ukraine, sent some ships through there on purpose to get it started. Well, we know that the U.S. took the Ukraine during the last guy's reign, the last guy's 8 years. And so we have our puppets set up in Ukraine. It's pretty much an American satellite right on Russia's border. So this could be the deep state trying to set it off. There's so many chess pieces, so many things in play right now. So this could be the deep state trying to set that thing off as well. That's another flashpoint. So when that happened, when Russia, yeah, exactly, a good distraction. So when Russia fired on those ships, seized 2 of the vessels, then Ukraine had an emergency war meeting. They had basically they called a war cabinet together, and they're discussing war plans. Now remember, the Hal Turner letter said by the 28th, and this, let me go to the first date on the Hal Turner letter, November the 6th, midterms elections. And it said if the Democrats lost on November the 6th, by November the 8th, there'd be chaos, which there was. The fire started on November the 8th. And by the 12th, we said we'd be in financial collapse. The stock market did start falling again on that day. And they said by the 28th, we'd be in war with Russia and China. Scorched earth policy. And so we're still waiting to see if that part of it is going to come true. Still a few more days. Okay, so when the Ukraine had their emergency meeting with their war cabinet to discuss the Russia thing, then Nikki Haley, who's still in, you know, this is her last month. Remember, she said she was getting out, right? She said she was quitting, but she was going to hang around to the end of the year. Because she said something like she was getting out because she couldn't deal with Russia and China. Okay. So Nikki Haley has called an emergency UN Security Council meeting on tomorrow. And it's going to be to discuss Russia and the Ukraine. UN Security Council. Those are the 5 main nations that basically run the UN. U.S. is one of them. And they're going to meet tomorrow. This stuff is serious. This is a serious move. There's a lot of pieces in play right here. Besides that, France is burning. France is on fire. The people are revolting due to a gas tax hike or gas tax. They're paying too much. And we know about the French Revolution. The French are the ones who set off with the heads and start cutting off the heads of those guys. And so they're burning tires in the streets. Not to mention what's been happening in Haiti. It's been going, which used to be a French territory. They're fighting against the UN, and they're trying to make the president step down. Fires everywhere, fighting everywhere, murders. I mean, things are heating up around the world. And this is, like I said, we're reviewing the last 24 hours. Okay, so on top of that, on top of the UN Security Council meeting set up for tomorrow, Ukraine already having its war cabinet meeting. You're welcome, Michael Davies. So the Ukraine has also approved martial law for 60 days in their country. Ukraine is under martial law for 60 days because of all the stuff going on. We're not done yet. Still a lot of hot spots, which could spark things off in a major way and a bad way. Okay, so there was a gas attack in Syria. And we know that I reported. Right, exactly. Now we know that I reported, that DEPCA reported, and I did a show on this a couple of days ago, that the U.S. is now in charge of Syrian airspace. And about a day after that, or a day or two after the U.S. supposedly had taken control of Syrian airspace, there's a gas attack in Syria. And now they're saying it was Al-Qaeda or ISIS, one of those groups, Al-Qaeda, ISIS, or somebody. But I happen to know that the U.S. is responsible for both of those groups. The U.S., the CIA, and the Saudis. So once we took control of the airspace, nobody watching, we do a gas attack, allegedly. That could kick things off as well. And then we can come in and be the savior, since, oh, you blame it on the side or somebody. Oh, no, that was the red line in the sand. Now we're going to have to do this and do that. And set it off like that. Okay, so that's still not it. Still more to go. And this is all within the last 24 hours. All within the last 24 hours. So today was supposed to be the day that the migrants marched peacefully to the border, and they were supposed to get in, right? They were supposed to do this at 5 o'clock a.m. in the morning. Well, at 5 a.m. they were still asleep. And then, everybody was doubting it. We knew it was nothing. It was fake news. Ain't nothing gonna happen, blah, blah, blah. All the doubters, all the naysayers. I had a few people asking me and saying the same thing to me, and I was like, I don't celebrate too early. It's not over. Those people didn't come all this way for nothing. They're not just gonna turn around and just go back. And as soon as we said that, you hear Spanish, everybody started running. They're running. Run towards the border. A few of them got over the fence, and the U.S. wasn't having it. Fired on them. Rubber bullets, tear gas, repelled them. They start throwing rocks. But yeah, they do. They do need to go back, but they're not. That's not a part of the plan. The plan is New World Order. So they're going to stay the course. They're being used as sheeple, as cannon fodder. Some lady was supposed to be climbing up the razor fence and fell on a rebar, which stabbed her in the butt. And well, don't you know that the razor wire, you're not supposed to climb on that? It's up there for a reason. So We'll see how the news spins it in tomorrow. The lame stream media, how they spin it in the morning. Of course, they're going to make Trump and the U.S. military and everybody else look bad and like, oh, they fired on innocent women and children and so on and so forth. Trump's a bad guy. Trump's is Hitler, and Trump needs to be. We're going to sue him, and you know how that thing is going to go. Okay. So there's gonna be a lot of coverage, and YouTube blocked a lot of it out. YouTube was knocking. I wasn't the only one that got knocked off today. I wasn't the only one who's buffering today. All the YouTubers were saying how YouTube is censoring things. So it just so happens that since the chaos broke out in Tijuana, the Tijuana mayor decides he's going to call the UN. So he has asked the UN for help. He has asked the UN for funding because the border's closed and there's chaos down there. He needs help. Wow. Yeah, they're censoring. I'm being censored really bad right now. But we're going to keep going. And we already knew that this was a UN invasion. Yeah, and we'll talk about that in just a second. We'll talk about what's happening with the weather. We talked about this before. It was a what if scenario. It's no longer what if. So I mean, we knew this was a UN invasion. We've been seeing tanks and everything going to the border. We've seen UN helping with the caravan, supplying them with money. And this heater off, it's getting a little hot now. Supplying the caravan with money, credit cards, things like that. And remember the one leader, he said that a strong nation is coming. He said that Russia was coming to help him invade the U.S. He said he can call them. He said they were in Chile. He had contacts in Chile. I guess the Russians were in Chile. We'll wait and see. But we do know that the Tijuana mayor has asked the UN to come in and help the chaos on the border between U.S. and Mexico. Okay. Besides that, our government is about to shut down tomorrow. It's because Trump says he needs the money to fund the border wall. The Democrats said no, they need the money to do something else. And they're both sides are saying, well, if we can't come to an agreement, we're just going to shut the border down. I mean, we're going to shut the government down. To me, that's code talk. That's code word. That's a smoke screen. If they shut the government down, it's because they know all this chaos is coming. And they're going to go to the underground bunkers. They're going to hide out. They're going to get away and leave us to deal with the aftermath of it. You're not going to see any leaders anymore. All of the Congress, all of the Senate, they're going to be hiding. Who knows where Trump's going to be? In Cheyenne Mountain or something. And so we don't know. We don't know about that. So let's hope it doesn't shut down, because that something stinks. If it shuts down, something stinks. Besides that, right? Besides all of this, there's still more. Remember, this is just the last 24 hours. So besides all this, Iran gets hit with a 6.3 magnitude earthquake. That's a big earthquake. 6.3. Now, that could have been hard. So, I mean, who knows what it was? I don't think it was natural. Iran is the one who we're having problems with. See, if we're in control of Syrian airspace, Russia's no longer there, that means the only one that's there is Iran. And Iran's already threatened us. So maybe we say we'll take care of two birds with one stone. Iran got hit with a 6.3 magnitude earthquake. today. Yeah, exactly. Okay, and it's still not it. Iran and Russia were caught selling oil to Syria, which was in violation of the sanctions that we had placed on Syria. This thing is heating up, man. There's too many flashpoints. There's too many flashpoints. One of them is bound to catch fire. We can't watch all of them at one time, or can we? Maybe. But yeah, Russia and Iran were caught selling oil to Syria, which violated the sanctions that we have on Syria. And then lastly, the Northeast and the Midwest, well, mainly right now, the Midwest is getting hit with a snowstorm, pretty much a blizzard, and it's moving towards the Northeast. So we talked about this last week, a few days ago, about what if they, get hit with such a storm and the power went out, then they're not going to be in the fight. And it looks like that's what's happening. Except at that point, I was talking about the East Coast because they had a little small blizzard, and the West Coast because they were on fire. Now the Midwest is getting hit. And all of these places might be out of the fight if we get invaded. And we're going to get invaded. Those people are not going back. Matter of fact, they said there were like 10 more caravans on the way now. And you think about it, if those get through, say 100 of them get through, say 1,000, say 2,000 of them get through, then they're going to tell their friends, and more of them are going to come. If 10,000 get through there, they're going to tell their friends, and more of them are going to come. If 100,000 get through, they're going to tell their friends, and more of them are going to come. And they're not coming from one country. They're coming from 4 or 5 countries, sometimes 6 countries. And then who knows who else is embedded in there. Like I said, it could be up to 16 million. Just a rough estimate. Could be. I mean, just the sheer number alone would clobber us, would destroy us, would mess up everything we have going right now. So this is going to be a busy week. And we need to be prepared for everything. Just got through reading in 1 Kings chapter 17 about Elijah the Tishbite. And he had to fight against the government. At one time he was God told him to go to the woods. He said, drink the brook, the little river, that's going to be your water. And I'm going to have the ravens to bring you food. The ravens brought him meat and bread every day till the brook dried up. Then God told him, hey, well, I'm going to send you over to this widow woman. She going to take care of you. He went to the widow woman. She was getting ready to commit suicide. They had enough food for her and her son. They just had enough food for one more meal. They said, we're going to eat this and then we're going to die. And he told them, no, we're going to eat this. He said, first bring me some bread and bring me some water. And we're going to eat this and we're going to eat. And it's never going to run out until it rained. And it didn't. And then he got into it with the prophets of Baal, 450 of them. Told them up, showed them up, made fun of them, and killed all of them, actually, after he showed them that their God wasn't God. And then Jezebel, who was married to King Ahab, she told him, well, God do the same to me if in the morning I don't kill you. And he ran. Oh, he ran. And he asked God, God, take my life. I'd rather for you to take it than this woman to take it. And God hit him out. She didn't get to kill him. And it's a long story, but I didn't get to that part, but I know how the story ends. She ended up dead. And the dogs licked her blood. That was the words of his mouth. So it's just to say we're going to make all the provisions we can make, but with so many flashpoints, we can't be ready for all of this. People say, oh, I'm ready, I'm prepped. No, you're not ready for all of this. One thing I do want to tell y'all, there's only 6 or 7 countries who are not signed on to the UN Migration Pact. So if you use the word illegal immigrant, you can go to prison. If your country's signed on. If your country's not signed on and they get a hold of you, you still can go. Yeah. So One thing we want to do is make sure now we're going to have to start walking around with our faces covered. Yeah, yeah, but that's just one flashpoint, Ricky. I mean, I mean, you're right, but that's one flashpoint. They're going to set it off. There's so many other flashpoints, but they have a new term called migration speech. If you criticize open borders, it's punishable by prison. You see, in a communist society, in a globalist society, there is no such thing as free thought or free speech. If I say illegal immigrant, I can say that. It's not a illegal immigrant is not a bad word, but now it is. Just by calling it illegal. You got to drop the illegal out from it. You got to say it's immigrant. And also, if I say the word, you know, border, illegal crossing or Russia, that's illegal. That's hate speech now. So if the U.S. goes down, and journalists like myself, independent or major, but the majors, they already falling in line. They trying to get it to go down. But they might try to bring up some of my videos and some stuff I said and try to get me if we fall. I'll be like, yeah, it's illegal. Nah, man. Yeah, Stacy, we're getting it's getting we've touched all the bullet points here. We're just wrapping it up. I know that's right, Ricky. Yeah, but you see how those quote unquote immigrants are covering their faces? We're gonna have to start covering ours because it's us against the world, guys. 6 or 7 nations against 190 something nations. Sooner or later, we're gonna fall. Sooner or later, it's gonna. I mean, it's written, and they're gonna come in and get the red list, the blue list, the green list, and they're gonna get people who were saying, illegal immigrants and criticizing them because they already put it in the law. It's hate speech now. Migrant speech and hate speech. But I'm not gonna live under those conditions. I'm free. I'm a free man. I was born free. Yeah, true. But I think that Hillary is going to be a sacrificial lamb. Oh, that's another thing. I think it was Q or somebody said something like this. I don't really listen to Q too much anymore because I've been wrong too many times. But December the 5th is a big day. And that's the day I think they're going to go after Hillary, going to arrest her or something. We'll see. So they said November the 25th would be big. And it was. A lot of stuff happened today. People said, don't name dates. Well, these dates have been coming true. The next one is November the 28th. They're saying we're going to be in a war with Russia and China. And then December the 5th, they're supposed to get Hillary. Now, that other guy, he's coming back. He's coming back. His fingerprints is over everything that's going on now. His fingerprints is on everything that's going on now. From the hate speech, to the migration speech, to the gun running, to the forcing everybody into the gay stuff, to the global citizen, the world citizen. Yeah, that's a name I don't like to say. That's the other guy, Sasha. Yes, that's the other guy. And he's coming back. He's laying low, but he's still meeting with world leaders and stuff like. I've never seen a president do that. An ex-president do that. Once their term is over, they kind of fade to black. They kind of lay in the background. But no, not this guy. He's going around making deals. He's still giving speeches, and he's coming back. Hillary is going to be sacrificed, maybe, probably. But this guy's going to get off scot-free. And remember, she was the Secretary of State. She wasn't the main one in charge. he was the guy in charge. But he's not gonna. It's not gonna be a way to get him. Yeah, yeah, guys. So one thing we have to do is stay prayed up. I was also just reading about the economy. Woo, it's a lot of companies announcing layoffs right now, and it might get desperate really soon. It might get desperate really soon. But remember the story of Elijah, because if you have faith, the ravens will bring you the meat and bread as well, and you can drink from the from the brook. Anyway, guys, I appreciate y'all joining in, man. I love y'all, man. I pray for y'all. Yeah, exactly. And so I'm gonna be looking out for tomorrow because I don't know what's gonna happen with the UN. I don't know what's gonna happen in um, Ukraine, and I don't know what's gonna happen with the migrants um, and the stock market. I mean, it's a lot of stuff that's. And then the G20 comes Saturday. The 28th comes before that. It's a lot of stuff, man. It happened in the last 24 hours, and a lot of stuff that's going to play out over the next few days. So we just keep our eyes open. You're welcome, Stacy. And we're going to be all right. Whether we live or whether we die, we're still going to be all right. One thing about it, we're not going to give in. Remember, don't forget to fight. All right, guys. Beyond Babbitt, your host, Brian Anthony, over and out. This is the left. This is the right. And we're going to be all right. Have a good one. All right, good night, sir.